Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Sean McCutcheon, the author of the book Coming Together, which is about how we have more in common than we have that divides us, as well as how we can work together to solve a lot of the political and social issues that we face. This channel is hoping to do something similar. Hopefully we can understand each other better so we can stop fighting and working together. So today's video is on gender identity, which is the second of a series of three. The first one was about our chromosomes and how they are expressed, right? The next one will be about the LGBT community. The reason we're doing this on gender is because of the concerted effort to misunderstand and demonize people based on their gender identity and presentation. In this video, we're going to cover what gender is, what is meant by it being a social construct, and a spectrum. We will also cover gender-affirming care and what it means to transition. Granted, that last part is by a cis guy, so some caveats may apply. So what is gender? In normal communication, we use sex and gender almost interchangeably, but there is a difference. Sex refers to the biological aspects, which is your DNA and the expression of those genes, right? Which we covered in the last video. Gender is how we identify and express ourselves. To better understand that, let's talk about how it is a social construct. Now, this just means that we all agree upon the rules for expressing ourselves as more or less masculine and feminine, right? These rules change over time and are based upon culture, right? All because they're a social construct does not diminish their reality or their value for anyone. To put it another way, it is a construct put in place to reflect the norms and rules of our society. That's what a social construct is. Money is also a social construct, one put in place so that we could trade with people for goods and services. Okay? Have you ever watched the movie WALL-E and knew which robots were men and which were women? You understand the basic idea that it doesn't have anything inherently to do with biology. Additionally, if you're a history person, then you're probably familiar with how it used to be very in fashion for men to wear makeup, heels, and their favorite color was pink, all of which are associated with women in our current time and culture. Now, what does it mean that gender is a spectrum? First, you are already familiar, hopefully, with the fact that light is a spectrum, right? And just how the light spectrum allows for individual colors like blue, green, red. Gender also has some easy to identify standouts. The idea of gender being a spectrum is not a new concept. The language just changed in an effort to encompass all of human experience. Traditionally, read for old people like myself, we understood that some men were manlier than others, and others were more feminine. And the same went for women, with phrases like manly men and tomboy being used to describe someone. The concept of the spectrum is the same thing, it's just been expanded upon. It's also because of this expanded idea that we get concepts like non-binary and gender fluid. Again, these aren't new concepts, they're just new words. To illustrate this, think of the old Saturday Night Live skit featuring Pat. For those of you who don't know, every skit involving Pat focused on how no one was able to determine their gender. Based on that example, you should have a pretty good idea of what it means to be gender non-binary. It means they do not identify as either a man or a woman, neither masculine nor feminine. Lastly, at least for the purpose of this video, we'll be talking about people who are gender fluid, right? These are people that choose when they want to present as a man, a woman, or neither, right? Now, all of these identities may seem like they can get confusing, but here's where it gets really simple. Pronouns. You were waiting for it. We all use them, I've used them many, many times throughout this and will continue to use them. We all have them. All you have to do is use someone's pronouns, and if you're not clear, you can ask them. He, him, she, her, they, them are all examples of the pronouns you most likely will be asked to use. Mine are he, him, by the way. I know there are lots of jokes that fly around about people being offended at the use of the wrong pronoun, but I've never met anyone who was actually offended when the wrong pronoun was used. And I've seen too many people upset that now they're being asked to use the pronouns of someone that they meet. People are genuinely getting more upset about having to respect people than people are about being unintentionally misgendered. I have, on multiple occasions, accidentally misgendered someone. And do you know what happened? Nothing. If I noticed, I probably apologized or corrected myself as the conversation went on, right? However, there is no lack of people clamoring to feel persecuted at having to use someone's pronoun, or they think that this infringes upon their right to disrespect someone. The most ludicrous of which are those that think that not using someone's pronouns will somehow lead to their prosecution in the future. In reality, people are constantly bullied because of their gender identity, and some states have even outlawed people presenting themselves in accordance with their identity. These actual harms done to people lead them to being ostracized and unaliving themselves. I can't say certain things on YouTube, so hopefully you understand what I meant by that. Which means there are no shortage of people who think it's more important to disrespect and attack someone's identity because of a made-up scenario in their head rather than use a word they were already using to stop causing actual harm around them. Okay. Speaking of harm, let's talk about the harm being done to women, right? If you are, hopefully and blissfully unaware, there is a lot of hateful rhetoric going around accompanied with the phrase, "What is a woman?" It's a simple question, and it has a simple answer. But the people that are asking this question don't like the answer, and they would like a very narrow definition so they can put all women in a box. It's supposed to be a gotcha question, but it's a tool that is used to harm women of all varieties. So what's the answer? A woman is someone that identifies and presents as a woman. Simple, right? Since being a woman is an identity, it really is that simple, right? Because again, we're talking about gender identity, right? The community that likes to ask this question likes to define it based off a certain set of physical criteria that is so narrow that only some cis women with certain DNA and a certain health and age fit into this box. Usually, when challenged on this, they don't have a comeback because they haven't really thought about what they're saying. All they know is that they want to exclude people they don't consider pure women. The same community also claims to be worried about a man in a dress because either they may assault a woman or their manliness is in question. What they fail to realize is that the person is still a man because they identify as such. They're just in a dress. The converse question about women in pants isn't asked because the question isn't there to protect women, it's to confine them. Based off the phrasing of ensuring purity, you can guess what kind of people think of this as a gotcha question. Although I'm sure there are plenty of people who have heard this question asked and really don't understand the underlying context or are genuinely confused because of all the rhetoric. Which means that while I have no love for the community intentionally spreading the hate, everyday interactions with people on this topic should always assume good intentions, or at least hopefully they're just being naive. Now, this all leads us to the topic of bathrooms, which, if you want to make this complex and based off the biological variety of humans, you will need at least 32 bathrooms. This is a spoiler for the last video, but there are at least two varieties that we most commonly think of, male and female, right? And on top of that, there are at least 30 different varieties of intersex. Go watch my last video if you have any questions on that. Then, if you introduce gender on top of and how identity complicates this issue, we don't ever have enough bathrooms ever, right? Which is why I'm not suggesting, and I don't think anyone else is, that we don't introduce that level of complexity. We keep it simple. We just let people go to the bathroom of their gender identity. After all, people really just want to pee and get out of there, right? Now, there have been numerous efforts, again, all in the name of protecting women, designed to make people go to the bathroom they don't belong in. We will touch on this more in the LGBT video, but the whole discussion around bathrooms has led to women being harassed and attacked in the bathroom. This campaign of harassment and attacks has primarily affected women who were born female, have always identified as women, even though they were never the primary target. If the goal was actually to protect women, especially from SA, again, certain things I can't say on YouTube, then the concern should be about protecting them from men who were born as men and continue to identify themselves as men. But again, that's not the real goal. Again, it's to control what a woman can and cannot do and where they can and cannot go. So, we can't really do this video without talking about gender affirming care. First off, what does that even mean? Okay, but if gender is an identity, what even is gender affirming care? Basically, it's helping someone present how they identify. Notice I said nothing about switching or changing genders, but about helping someone be their true self, right? Lots of people who are identified as male at birth receive gender affirming care to become men. The same applies to women. A lot of women receive gender affirming care to become women. Okay? It's almost like painting an entire medical procedure in a malicious light without considering the patient or the doctor's input ends up hurting people. It's like there's a theme sometimes. Additionally, this concept isn't ever attacked when a boy or a girl takes an interest in what is considered a traditionally gendered interest, right? But this could also be considered gender affirming care since you're helping them to be the gender they identify with, right? Now, the entire reason this is a controversial topic is not because of the gender affirming care for people getting care in line with the gender they were assigned at birth. It's for the people that are receiving gender affirming care for a different gender than the one they were assigned at birth. It's almost like hatred blinds people to hypocrisy. People do not always fit into neat little boxes. Most especially, this controversy comes into play around children who feel the need to transition from one gender to another. Now, we will get into this topic more when we discuss the LGBT community in the next video. But what is intentionally distorted is what gender affirming care actually means for children. Lots of lies go around about forcing kids and mutilating them. But again, if the actual concern was for children, they would be interested in getting them the care they need, not preventing them and telling lies about it. They would also consider the harm of making a child be something they aren't, but they don't want to listen to the child. Again, it's about control. Instead, this time, it's about children instead of controlling women. So, to let you know, in case you didn't, gender affirming care for children actually consists of letting them change their clothes and hairstyle. Yeah, okay. That's it. It because gender identity is how you present, right? It's how you identify and how you present, right? To match their identity, right? Additionally, they will receive counseling to talk about their feelings and why they feel like their gender doesn't line up with what they were assigned at birth. At most, these children will receive hormone blockers with the consent of their parents, a procedure that is reversible if needed because they're just blockers. Just remove the blockers, right? Again, notice that the concern for boys and girls that receive hormone treatment to fully develop into men and women, respectively, is absent, right? So, in this video, we covered what gender identity is, how it's different from biology. We covered how it's a social construct that lets other people know where we fall on the spectrum, right? Not everyone falls into neat little boxes, especially if we look at it from the perspective of gender, right? I've included links below for sourcing and additional reading if you're interested. I hope this video helps to either educate you about gender or on how to discuss gender with someone. If you think it will help, please feel free to share it. Thank you for your time, and take care of yourself and take care of each other. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is what? My name is who? My name is what? Wiki. Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Sean. Please feel free to share it. Thank you for your time, and take care of yourself and take care of each other.